back to Wholesome Dog Life. If it's your first time here, my name is Meg. This is my dog Samka. We're going to tell you all about dogs and dog life and everything to do with dogs. So if that is your thing, please hit the subscribe button because we've got so many videos that you'll love. Today we're talking all about focus. So this is kind of a training focused video, and it's really going to help you if you're struggling with getting your dog to focus. It's one of the biggest questions that I get asked, really, that people are struggling to get their dog to focus. And it makes sense, because how can you get your dog to do anything if they're not looking at you? So what I call it when your dog focuses on you is called a watch me. So getting your dog to watch me can be really useful in all sorts of scenarios. So the first is obviously training. So if you want your dog to do nice heel work, for example, you've got to get them to watch you first so that they can go with you, because obviously if they're busy staring off into the distance, they're not listening to you. So that's a good example of where you need it. Another one is if you've got an anxious dog. So if you're walking along the road and a truck makes a noise on the road and they get scared, getting them to watch you and focus on you will help calm them down, because then they're looking at you and thinking about you rather than the scary truck. And in a similar way, if you have a reactive dog that might be wanting to bark and lunge at another dog, you can get them to focus rather on you than on the other dog, and that way you can draw that kind of energy and that attention towards you and not towards the other dog. And the same for very high energy dogs. So even if your dog is not reactive, but it's just very hyperactive, and maybe you do want to let your dog go play, you want to bring their energy down first, you want to get their focus on you first, and then you want to allow them to go play with another dog before you just set them off, so that they don't just go running off crazy. So watch me is really, really valuable in all sorts of situations. How we train it is with a positive reinforcement. So we're going to kind of lure them to do something, we're going to tell them what they did, and then we're going to reward them for doing it. Really, really easy way to teach a dog to do something. So what you're going to need is a bunch of treats, basically. Really good to train this just before mealtime so that they're really nice and hungry. Use high value treats, so something maybe like a meat rather than a biscuit, something really tasty, and a treat pouch or a nice big pocket that's close by so it's not awkward for you to try and get your hand in. What you're going to do, I'm going to show you outside just now, but you're going to basically lure your dog with a treat from their nose to your face. As soon as they look at your face, you're going to say the word watch me, and then you're going to reward them straight away, because they've looked at your face, so you're going to give them a reward for doing that. And you're going to practice and practice and practice doing the same thing until they're good at it, and then you're going to phase out using the treat, and you're going to start just using your hand to show them what to do, and then reward as well. And then soon you're going to be able to phase out the reward and start rewarding with your voice. So it's very helpful. If you don't have a food-driven dog, you can also lure with a toy. It's slightly more difficult because it's quite a close proximity to hold a toy, but it's also a good alternative if your dog isn't really driven by food, which some aren't. So you can try that out, and then when you reward, you just give it a little play rather than a treat. Cool, so we're going to head outside, and I'm going to show you a really lovely dog named Harper, and she's going to show us how to do a watch me. Okay, so today we're going to be teaching the watch me, which is really important, because getting your dog to focus on you when there's other stuff going around is really helpful, because it can prevent your dog from freaking out, maybe barking or getting frightened, maybe running away. How we do this is by just getting a treat to your dog's face and bringing it up to your face, and then we're going to say the command, which is watch me. That's how we teach it, and then we're going to go on to expanding it into different ways and how we can use it in our daily life. Papa, watch me. Good girl. Papa, watch me. Good girl. So just a couple of tips about trying this at home. Really good idea to try it on a lead first, that way your dog just can't wander away from you. Yes, we are in our own back garden, but Harper can't just wander away and do her own thing, so I'm keeping her on a lead. Also, good idea to have a treat bag or a nice big pocket full of treats, so that I always have enough treats, have a variety of treats, and also have a hungry dog. So do it just before mealtime, that way they're really, really hungry for those treats, and you are the most important thing in that moment. Papa, watch me. Good girl. Papa, watch me. Good girl. Okay, so now we can expand on that. As we expand, we can either make the distractions a bit harder, so we can move from now being in her own home, we can move outside, we can bring in distractions, bring in another dog, throw a toy, whatever, and we can get her attention back on us. We can also start phasing out the treat. So I'm going to show you the phasing out the treat option. So instead of putting the treat in my hand, I'm going to just point to my face with my hand, and then I'm still going to reward her with the treat. So that's a way of moving her up in the difficulty. And what I suggest is you always do one thing at a time. So don't take them outside and remove the treat at the same time. Do one thing at a time, but work towards having no treat in the hand and being able to do this with distractions. So my hand is empty. I'm going to lead with this hand. Papa, watch me. Good girl. Now I'm rewarding out my paw. Good job. Another thing that you can do once your dog is good with a watch me without the treat, you can start adding movement to it. So that helps to get your dog excited about the activity. So you can get the focus and then move a bit. This will help get the focus for a longer period of time, and then your reward. This really makes you more exciting than the things going on, which helps with dogs that maybe get overwhelmed by things on the street. They get frightened by things, dogs barking, that sort of thing. I'm going to illustrate it with Harper now. Watch me. So a watch me is really valuable, and you can practice it many times in your daily routine. So with Samko over here, we do it always before meal times. So I put his food down, I get him to watch me, then he's allowed to eat. It's also a good way to remind him who's feeding him. I get him to do it before we go out of doors and make sure that he doesn't rush through the door and just run out. Before we cross the road, he has to look at me. It's a safety thing as well. He's got to check with me for the next move. It's a really good way that your dog checks in with you before doing something. It's a bonding thing as well. Your dog and you become a bit more connected. Training is way more valuable when it becomes part of your life than just an exercise that you practice. I guess much like anything else that we do in our lives, it's much easier when it just flows into our life than when you have to put it in the calendar. So that's the best advice I can give you with training with your dog. Try and bring it into practice in your daily life. Use your dog's meals to do training. Use daily exercises going in and out of the door, in and out of the car, to practice different exercises. Every time your dog wants to play, ask them to do something for that play. Every time you're going to give them food, ask them to do something for that food. Because dogs love to work. They were bred to work. So you asking them to do things for their food and for their play is actually giving them that satisfaction to work for their food or for their play. So I hope that helps. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you try it out. And I hope to see you in our next video. Enjoy.